this seminar is to raise intercultural awareness and also to give a little bit more details about the time, about the countries, some travel information also, and I also want to speak about your cultural or the cultural background of every country. Yeah, so the founder and the initiator, this is the University of Slovenia in Ljubljana. It's in the frame of the Erasmus Mundus student program, and yeah, within this project we have a cooperation between the Central Asian countries and the European countries. And now let's start with the cultural aspect, with the intercultural awareness. First of all, I want to give you this short introduction what we will talk about today. So as I mentioned, first of all, the culture. I want to raise with you, I want to sensibilize you what is real culture? What does it mean? Why culture is so important? To know a little bit more about culture, and why it is important to understand finally the other culture. What does it mean to stay abroad? What challenges you can have? And also, I want to give you a short introduction or a short overview about your ambassador role you have in another country. And finally, at the end, and this will be also the main part of this presentation, I want to give you an overview of Central Asia, of practical hints, how to be there, what is important to know, and also where and how to find flats, where to go for shopping, and how to communicate with people in the 5 countries. A short overview about me. My name is Dennis Frötzke. I was born in Moscow in 1976, so I'm now 30 years old. I'm married and I have 1 daughter. She was born in Moscow, in Kiev, I'm sorry. And I'm married with also a Russian wife. So I was born in Moscow, but I only lived there 2.5 weeks, and I was grown up here in Germany, and I got more the German culture. And after I lived together with my wife, and knowing her more than 11 years, I also have, in principle, every year, every day, an intercultural challenge with her, because we are 2 different cultures, and sometimes we also have some misunderstandings, but it's good to understand even why, and why my wife has a certain reaction, what does not complain with my understanding, and that makes also our life very, very interesting. I studied economics, and I finished my study in Berlin with the diploma in international business economics at the Berlin School of Economics in 1994. And I finished it in 2001, and I started to work for the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and later also for the German KfW since 2002. And from 2002 and until end of 2013, I was traveling a lot, and I mostly traveled through the CIS countries. And as I mentioned in the beginning, it was 5 years in Kazakhstan. And while I was working and living there, I also traveled to, and I lived and worked also in Bishkek. And while my time in Bishkek and also in several cities of Kazakhstan, I learned a lot of Turkmenistan people, a lot of people from Tajikistan, and of course also from Uzbekistan. So I'm very happy to share also my experience I got with all these people, and every time when I hear Central Asia and Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan and all the other countries, I get warm emotions because I learned a lot of friends there, and I got a very, very nice impression of all these countries and even all the people. And since 2014, I started to work for ICUNet, and for ICUNet I'm working as a consultant, as an intercultural consultant for the Eastern European countries and all the CIS countries. And that's why I'm very happy to talk about these countries today, and also to get some interesting inputs also from your side about all these countries. Good. So let's start. Because when we talk about traveling, when we talk about international traveling, it's always good to know what does it mean culture, because every country has its own culture, every region has its own culture, and in order to be successful and also to be happy and to understand the other side, it's good to know a little bit more about culture. So maybe you can give me some keywords. What does it mean, culture? What means culture? Right, yes, beliefs, values, customs, language, yes, traditions, religion, yes. So food, yes, fine. Habits, holidays, yes, So when you come in a new country, maybe the participants who arrived to or who traveled from Central Asia to Europe, what was the first you saw in the European countries? What was the first impression of, I don't know, maybe Germany, Slovenia, Netherlands, France? What you saw first? Openness, okay. Freedom, yes. Kindness. Architecture, okay. Coldness. One question, Askar, where have you been? Where you met coldness? Slovenia. Okay, in Germany, Slovenia, okay, in Slovenia, coldness, Anybody have been also to Germany? Maybe some impressions about Germany? Okay, cold, yeah, this is right. But in Almaty, or I remember in Almaty, in Astana, in Kazakhstan, it can be also very, very cold. Germany, respect to everyone, yeah. Yeah, minus 45 degrees, right, yeah. Okay, fine. So, when we talk about culture, that's why I also ask you what you saw first. So, first we see mostly the culture, the objective things first, yeah. Means we see the language, we hear another language. We see people laughing or being cold. We see another architecture. We see maybe also other cars. When you arrive in Almaty or in other Central Asian countries, you see also another type of cars. And when you come to Germany, I remember that when I was asked where I am from, and I told that I'm from Germany, the first answer from a Kazakhstan taxi driver was, "Oh, you have good cars, you have good streets, and everybody is laughing." So this is a first picture what we can get from another culture. But on the other side, it's also very important to understand why people laugh in Germany, and why maybe people in Kazakhstan or in Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan don't laugh when you arrive at the airport. I remember when I arrived first time also in Moscow. It was another picture. The people at the border control, they were quite serious, and yeah, this can give also misunderstandings. This is right. Yeah? So first of all, we see the objective part. Let's say also the objective part of an iceberg. So the part above, yeah. So the smaller part above. But the more important part and the deeper part is the part below. And maybe also one question: why? What do you think? Why people laugh or smile more in Germany than maybe in Kazakhstan when we arrive at the border? Right, be polite in Germany, yeah. Greetings, yes. That's a good point, Askar. Okay, lack of information. Be polite in Germany. That's a very good point. This is a value, yeah. It's a value. The Germans, one of the German value is to be polite. People at school, my parents, and also people surrounding me, we all were educated, and we all got in our blood always be polite when you meet other people or when you come to other places. That's one value. Yeah, we also got a certain education. So, and these things, when we talk about culture, these two sides, we see on the first, we see a certain architecture, we see a certain food, we see certain gestures, we see also a certain smile, and finally we have to ask ourselves why we see those things, and this is even very important for you who travel to other cultures, to other countries. Every time ask yourself why people don't laugh, or why people are so hospitable, why people are so open, why we see in Germany more cleaner roads than we see maybe in the region of Kazakhstan, because every culture has its own values, its own beliefs, its own norms. So that's also an interesting point today. My colleagues here, we have colleagues from several cultures. So we have Germans, we have Russians, we have Arabs, and everybody has another style or another food. So the Germans, they had some bread with sausage and some salad. The Russian, she had a chicken leg with some rice. And there was another guy, he had some also rice with bread and some vegetables. So everybody has its own culture of food. And this is also what I met when I first came to Kazakhstan. I cannot find my lovely Parmesan cheese I always love to use for my pasta. And I understood that yeah, this is another region, but at the beginning, it was difficult for me to understand why I cannot find those things here in another country, because I had my German glasses with me, and I put them, I looked through the German glasses. Yeah. So this is one thing I want to give you further. So when you travel abroad, we all view at the first through our own cultural glasses. Yeah, we don't see, or we are not open, mostly sometimes, to change the glasses. Yeah, but on the other side, to be competent, to be intercultural competent. Yeah. This is even the point to put it away, to put the glasses away, and to be open for another culture. And it's like and this is like I had here in the beginning. It's like a fish. Yeah? It's like a fish. When a fish has its water, the fish feels quite well. But then the fish lost its water, and then he feels quite uncomfortable. Yeah? He swims in another area, in another surrounding. So something is wrong, something changed. Yeah? And this is even the change also of the culture. Yeah? And for you, when you travel from Europe to Central Asia, you will find other people, you will find other architecture, you will find other countrysides, you will find also other nature. And to be successful there, it is very important to understand that every culture has its own deepness. And when we have this in mind, when we think always about this, that the Kazakhs are other people like the Turkmenistan people, and also other people like the Germans or the Europeans. Then we will, or we can, or we are more successful than when we put always our German or our own glasses we already have. When we talk about culture, it's also very important to understand that we have also differences in subcultures. Yeah? Means, for instance, people from North Kazakhstan are different to people in South Kazakhstan. Yeah? Also, people from Kazakhstan differs from people to Kyrgyzstan. Yeah? The same in Europe. When we look to Germany, we have differences between North and South, and that's why we also have to be very attentional to regional differences. Regional differences have to be included also when we talk about cultures. Also, differences in generations. Our grandfathers have other beliefs than we have. Yeah? We got a lot of beliefs in our cultures. We got a lot of beliefs from our grandparents, but we also have our own culture in our generation. Then we also have differences in religion. So when we travel to Central Asia, we have another religion than we have it in Europe. And this is important for everybody who works, who communicate with other cultures, that you have to see, you have to have it in mind that they are also subcultures, finally. And very often, when we are not aware about other cultures and other subcultures, very often we can come in a cycle. We call it the MIS cycle. Means very easy. You can get a misperception. let's have the point when I arrived in 2002. I remember first time in Kazakhstan, and not smiling border guy. The perception was for me, the guys were not laughing. Then I interpreted it. Yeah? Then I thought, why he does not laugh? And very easy, I could misevaluate this. Yeah, means I thought, oh, people here in Kazakhstan are not really friendly. And finally, it can happen, or it is a first impression. I will not trust them. Yeah? And this cycle can be very important and very tricky, because when you come into this cycle, it can be very difficult to work and to be successful in another culture. When you be aware about this, then you can quite easy also come out of this cycle and be successful with another culture. And finally, we always have three factors. Yeah? Three factors who influence the communication and also the trust building between all cultures. We have a situation, we have the personality, and then we have a culture. Means every behavior depends in people from the situation. Yeah? A person can be very friendly, but maybe this person got a very bad situation or came into a very bad situation. So the personality or the communication is quite hard, quite serious. And finally, his culture also, or the culture of this person is also, or the behavior of this culture is that when talking with new people, you always have to be serious. And these three factors are very important to know and very strongly influence in intercultural or in international communication. So, what is finally, what makes us so different? And I want to ask you now, because we talked today about the 5 Central Asian countries. First, I want to ask you to give me some points. What do you think? What do you think? How do Kazakh perceive Europeans? And on the other side, how do you think Europeans perceive Kazakh? So maybe our attendees who are from Kazakhstan, how do you perceive the Europeans? And I want to invite you now to give your answers on a whiteboard. So please use this whiteboard. And on the left above, you have a button where you can see some letters, the A. Put on this, use this button, and then write your thoughts on the whiteboard, please. Can you see the whiteboard? I have opened it. No? Yes, you see? So I understand. No, mostly no. Okay. Then let's use the presentation again. And let's write here. Let's write here down. So above on the left, you see a button for letters, the A, and put this please, and write some comments. Like me, I put one comment. How do Kazakh perceive Europeans? Yes, this is for Kazakhs, yeah. How do Kazakh perceive Europeans? Askar, can you put this please on the slide? Organized, okay. Alicia, organized, developed. Culturally tolerant, punctual, punctual like the Germans, well behaved, okay. Good. And tolerant, yes, right, yeah. And always smiling, yes. I remember once a friend from Kazakhstan, he visited me in Germany, and he asked me one question, hey Dennis, why people always laugh here in Germany? Are they stupid? Yeah, so his perception or his first view on the Germans were everybody smiles and everybody is a little bit stupid, because smiling, this is not really a sign of a strength. Okay, fine. Let's summarize. So you mentioned that friendly, tolerant, always smiling, well developed, open, cultural tolerant. Yes, these are right points. And now let's think about how do you think Europeans perceive the Kazakh people? Yes, unfortunately, lots of Europeans think first when they talk about Kazakhstan, this is Borat, but this is not. Unfortunately, finally, this is not right. Borat, this is not Kazakhstan. Astana, yes, okay. Nazarbayev, eat horse meat and think that is very bad. Oil and gas, yeah. Baikonur, right? Russia, okay, yes, because everybody or lots of the Europeans think that Kazakhstan is a part of Russia. Okay. So maybe what do you think? What Europeans think about the people? Do Europeans know the Kazakh people? Can they give some, or do people even don't know how big our country is? Right. It's very big, yeah, this is right. So, yes, this is right. This picture I also got, or this, when I told that I'm working in Kazakhstan, everybody told me, yeah, we nomads in Kazakhstan. Okay, good, fine, thank you. So, let's see. What are the real values, yeah? So, this question, or both questions are very important, yeah. So to understand how do both cultures see the other culture, what do we know about the other culture, yeah? And finally, we have mostly a picture of stereotypes. I read when I asked about Kazakhstan, or the Europeans think about Kazakhstan, then or they link it with the movie Borat. So yeah, this is one stereotype. Yeah. What do people think, or what the Kazakh think about Europeans? That they are punctual. Yeah. So very often we only see, or we only know or we only know stereotypes. We only know the part of the iceberg above, the smaller one. But now let's have a look a little bit more inside the Kazakh values. What I understood through my time is that important values for Kazakhstan are family, the respect to even to elderly people, and the respect also to guests. The hospitality of Kazakhs the hospitality of Kazakhstan or the Kazakhs are very well developed. So everybody, when you enter the country and you meet new people there, and you are a guest, you are a foreigner. I was very often invited by the Kazakh people, and I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed to get in Kazakh families and to see how do they live. And also the Kazakhs are very pragmatic. They are very pragmatic people. They are not like some European countries who need to understand why certain things happened in a certain way. The Kazakh people, they are very open for a pragmatic solution. They don't. It's not necessary. It's not necessary to understand all details and to take a long time for understanding. They go very fast, and it's very nice, and it's very also fast to find a solution with Kazakh people. Responsibility is also a very strong value because Kazakh families are take very strong responsibility on the family, and also responsibility on all relatives they have. A responsibility for kids, a responsibility for the people who are elder. It's quite well developed. And of course independence. Independence is also one big value, because Kazakh people, or as one of you mentioned, that Kazakhstan is often linked also with Russia. So in Kazakhstan, people are very proud that we have one country, that we are not Russia, and we are alone, that we are independent. And the independence is quite an important value that people have in Kazakhstan. Good. This webinar will not only be about Kazakhstan, so let's go further and talk about Kyrgyz. What do Kyrgyz people perceive about the Europeans? So now I want to ask participants who are from Kyrgyzstan. Yeah, Kyrgyz brothers, it's now your turn. Come on. Yes, okay. But what even the Kyrgyz, what the Kyrgyz people, how do you perceive the Europeans when you came first, or when you meet European people? Actually, it's the same. Punctual, friendly, yeah. Maybe one more. Is anybody to France or to Spain or to Italy? Open-minded, right? Okay. And Southeast Europe, Slovenia, Croatia. Very friendly. But mostly European countries, you said friendly, open-minded, very friendly, yes. Do we have some Balkans are friendlier? You see, that's okay, but anyhow, it can depend. It depends also on personality. Yeah? So I met I met people who are quite serious in Germany, but I also met people who are quite serious in Macedonia. Yeah? So it very often depends from the personality, and finally also from the situation, and also the culture those people got in the country from their parents, from their people surrounding them. French are more polite. Aha, okay. And the North, the Scandinavians, do you have some perceptions about the Scandinavians? Slow. The Scandinavians are slow. Finnish people. Finnish, okay. Good. They don't talk while eating, you see, okay. Good. These are even the things we see, and again, this is the part above. Swedish people are good people. And why they are good? And why do you think they are good people? Thomas? Most of them are, they all know English. The Swedish people? Okay, good. So you see, again, you mention a lot of things, and you mention a lot of things we see above. And what do you think? Why people don't talk while eating, Aizada? Can you maybe tell something about the value, or why even they? I have friends from there, I have friends who think that French nation is above of others. Wait, this I not understood. And usually in my culture we used to talk a lot during eating. Yeah, okay, you see, this is a difference, Aizada. We have cultures who don't talk while eating, but you mentioned that you eat and talk a lot. And this is again one moment we get as a first impression. Unfortunately, I cannot understand you, Thomas Beck, talking while drinking tea. Yeah, because the tea is a very good moment to talk about personal things also, and to come together. Okay, so finally, you said that mostly the Kyrgyz also think the same as the Kazakh think about the Europeans, so the perception about the Europeans are quite the same. But what do you think? What the Europeans think about Kyrgyz people? How do Europeans perceive, or how does Europeans perceive Kyrgyzstan? Nomads, yes, At first they think that we are Chinese, Also drink tea in Central Asia, different from that in Europe. Mountains, yeah, good. Pasture so mountains, pasture those people who already have been there. Nomads, yeah. Nomads is a good point, Askar, yeah. And they don't know us, yeah, because not a lot of people have been there. They think we are Chinese, because we look, Kyrgyz people look like Chinese, that's why maybe they think it's also China. Good, is it cool, right? Yeah, people who read also a lot of books. Yeah, because they think Kyrgyzstan, yeah, they are surprised when we speak Russian. Yeah, because Europeans think Kyrgyzstan is Kyrgyzstan and has its own language, or maybe they think even it's China, yeah, and then they wonder why people in Kyrgyzstan speak also Russian. And this again, yeah, they wonder why you talk Russian, why you speak Russian, because very often people don't know the part below the iceberg, yeah, and this is important part when being together with people from abroad. Yeah? Even or always to understand the values, the behaviors. Why we are not Chinese? Why we are even Kyrgyz people? Yeah? So let's have a look even to the values. Yeah. So I also ask you. So if you want to add something, please do this. So the main values, again, the values we cannot see above, yeah, of the iceberg. The values we only can understand after a while, after we lived and also we work together with other nature cultures, with other people. So for myself, I got the experience that they are very loyal. They are very loyal to the family and also to even to the extended families, to all relatives. Family is a very big value. Family plays a very big role in Kyrgyzstan. Very hospitable. So I remember I came to Bishkek and also like in Kazakhstan, I was quite fast invited by lots of people, and in order to know a little bit more about the food, to know about the very delicious bread the Kyrgyz have, and finally also the very nice and beautiful nature the country has. Traditions plays a very strong role in Kyrgyzstan. Maybe sometimes more than in Kazakhstan, in northern part of Kazakhstan, and the tradition or the tradition to the nomad life. Yeah? Do you agree with me, Askan, that in Kyrgyzstan the nomad life it's much more focused, yeah, than we have it in Kazakhstan. Yeah? So in Kazakhstan has quite other values, or has quite another focus on the traditions. And in Kyrgyzstan, I remember that when I went from Bishkek to Osh, that I saw more and more people wearing also traditional clothes, and the life in the steppe is quite more developed, or is quite more focused than in Kazakhstan. So the nomad life is also very strong. Yeah, this is one Kyrgyz value. Do you have maybe other points which you find interesting, which you find important to add here? Really, the Kazakhs and Kyrgyz are the same nation? We don't have differences? Mocha asked, what are nomad games? Can anybody give a short answer on that question? Nomad games? Nomad games, Askara? A short, our national games, And for example, a nomad game, swing a dead of goat. Fine, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah? Good. So, no other things which you find special for Kyrgyz? I look forward to it. Yes. I will come a little bit later to this, but the difference to men and elders. What does it mean? Very often I met families that the elder people, yeah, even the men in the family and the older people, yeah, the senior people in a family, yeah, they are very they very polite to them, because, and then I remember that kids they say to elders and to his fathers, not the shooting. Yes, I mean here that the behavior is like more on a distance. Yeah. Yes, the respect to the elder people are quite high. Yeah? And one value in the Central Asian families is that you have to respect all the time your elder, your father. You have to respect your grandfather. And I remember in Kazakhstan, for instance, it's also very common, and often I met families when they got the first kids, and the first kid is a girl, that the first child was given to the grandfather and grandmama, yeah, and the girl grow up not with the parents, but even with the grandparents, yeah? And this is here one value. So the difference to the elders, yeah? That the respect from the parents to the grandparents are so deep, yeah? And this I really not met here in Europe. Yeah? Okay, let's go further. Love the grandchildren more than my children. You think so, Ahmadjon? You think so? Okay, good. Let's go further. Our next country, our next culture. We want to talk about the Turkmen. The Turkmen. Do we have certain perceptions how Turkmen people perceive the Europeans, besides what we already mentioned before that? So let's ask our Turkmenistan participants, what do you think? Hello? Askar, you think the same? Is there anyone from Turkmenistan? Yes? Hello? Is there anyone from Turkmenistan? No, they are not here, I think. So maybe then let's think together. Can we define? Can we find some different perceptions? What Turkmens think about Europeans? I think the same. Okay, it's the same. Yeah. Good. So I think yeah. I think also, yeah, it's the same. So Europeans, and I will give a summary a little bit later about the Europeans. So yes, Europeans mostly have the picture of Central Asian countries regarding to Europeans are mostly the same. Yeah, means friendly, openness, every time smiling, yeah. Very also democratic. I remember democratic was one value, 1 point I got from a Tajik, but more or less, yes, more or less the same, yeah. But yeah, what we can say, or what the Europeans think about the Turkmenistan people. Horses, a closed country, yes. It's rich of oil and gas. Again, natural resources. Again, here we have a typical stereotype. Turkmenistan, rich of oil and gas. Lots of people here in Europe think about this country. Through electricity, water, interesting. Anything else? Natural resource for all people living. Really? Okay. Fine. That's good to have here also in Europe. They're confused. Okay. Common perception, yeah. Amazing new buildings, yeah, because of lots of money, because of oil and gas incomes. Okay, let's have a look to the values. I received also through communication with friends from Turkmenistan. More or less also the same, but what I got also, they are very, very honest. Yeah, it was very viewable that people coming from Turkmenistan are quite honest to themselves, and also honest to the others. Modesty plays a big role, and hospitality, of course, as also in other Central Asian countries, and the respect to the elders, to the grandfathers, even to the father, and to the grandfather. This is a very big value I always get from my friends. Great carpets, yes, right, great carpets, but yeah, why they have great carpets? Maybe this is a question regarding to look a little bit more deeper. Why they put such a big effort to produce and to produce such great carpets? Askar, what do you think? Why do they protect it as national heritage? Yeah. It's a national value. Yeah. It's a national value. Also the horse. Yeah. Everybody agrees with this? Dogs. Fine. Okay. And why dogs? Why dogs are so important, or why people love dogs there? Okay, good. Fine. So we see also carpets. This is also a part of the Turkmen flag. On the left side we see also a picture. It looks like a carpet. The 5 regions. Good, fine. So when we compare with Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, so we have lots of also similarities. You see that the loyalty to extended family, the hospitality, and the respect, the respect to the older, to the grandfather, to the fathers is quite deep, because this is one value is here, the respect. The respect is quite deep, developed, and everybody I met, it was interesting that nobody had a problem to invite me, to invite people who are not familiar with who they don't know, but they are very, very open. All countries, I think there's no difference between all these 5 countries. Every country is very, very hospitable, very open to other cultures. And this is one special value, one special behavior all the Central Asian countries have, that to show its friendliness, to show its hospitality to others. Because one behavior or one education is that the parents gave to the younger generation that you always have to be hospitable to the others, because if we are not hospitable, we also will not get a friendly life in other countries. Good. Let's go further with Tajikistan. I think. Do we agree that do we have any Tajikistan participants? I remember when I came first to Central Asia, I was called Bratishka, как дела? Is it right? Can I also ask? Где-то есть там братишки из Таджикистана? Wonderful. Good. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Okay, came from Russia. Yeah. Yeah, it's a Russian. I remember once I came out. I went to my office. It was very early, and it was in Bishkek. In Bishkek, I was asked by my neighbor who was on the street, and he asked me, "Hey, Bratishka, не подскажешь время?" I was a little bit irritated in that moment, but that's normal. That's normal, even in the beginning. Why? Yeah, because I look very young. Yeah, this is right. But this is normal. This is culture. This is culture, and nobody has a problem to be named with Bratishka. I understood after a while that this is normal. It's normal that other people call you Bratishka. Thank you. Yeah. Я тоже могу поговорить по-русски. Good. So, what do you think? What the Europeans, братан, братишка, да, это все очень нравится мне. What do you think? What do you think? The Europeans? Oh no, Tajik language I cannot. I don't speak, unfortunately. What the Europeans think about Tajikistan? Simplicity, okay, wonderful. And why they don't know well? Most of mountains, Pamir mountains, yeah. So mountains, nature, yeah. Again, the nature, mountains, history. These are things, again, above the iceberg. But finally, what is one of the Tajik values we have? Right, everything what you say is right, yeah. So one of the then let's talk about the values we have in Tajikistan. Community, yeah, community, being a group and doing or deciding things, working in the community, working in the group, yeah. This is very important. Okay, flexibility, yes, right, yeah, quite very flexible. And I understood that there's also a difference between the capital and between the regions. Yeah, we have. Do you agree? What do you think? What is different between in the cap? Okay, more simple. And in the regions, dialects, okay, more traditional, you see? Yeah, and this is one important point. The traditions in the capital place the traditions are not so deep like in the regions. The northern people are more civilized than southeast people. But finally, okay, what I got, or what my impression or my experience with people coming from Tajikistan, that people living in the regions, they what is important or what is interesting for me is that they can live by 20 people together in one small flat, and in one small certain place. So the group to be together in one community plays a very big role. It's a tradition, yes, right. This is right, yeah, because it's a tradition, and this is again a thing what we can find below the iceberg. Yeah, the traditions we get from our grandfathers, from our parents, yeah, and we take it inside. Yeah, and that's why we also have maybe sometimes some problems, yeah, in the beginning, yeah, because the Europeans have another tradition like the Central Asian cultures, yeah? And of course it takes a time to understand both sides, but having this even in the beginning in mind, that there is a difference between the traditions, between the behavior, between the values the other has, then we have certain intercultural awareness, and this makes things easier to work, to live, and to study together with other cultures. Good, thank you. So finally, Uzbekistan. Now, Bratishkis, Uzbek Bratishkas, давайте. What the Europeans know about very kind, tolerant, good, lots of coffee drinkers, right? Yeah, hardworking, yeah, eager to learn. These are things the Europeans think about the Uzbek people. Yes. Really hospital. Yes. Again, yeah, really hospital people. Tourist attraction. Yes, of course, because it's a country of the Silk Road. Yeah. How Uzbek think about you? Yeah, you're talking about Uzbeks. So let's come. let's select. So hospital people are really friendly and lovely, and maybe a difference between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Do we have a difference between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan? Askar, yes. What do you think? Which history? Okay, yeah. Yeah, the Kazakhs have no such deep history like the Uzbekistan. And in the behavior, maybe we have some difference. Okay, different language. Yes, right, yeah. So difference in language, difference in the history. And then the culture, yeah, the traditions, yeah. Right, yeah. So let's look to the Uzbekistan values, to the Uzbek values. I think one very important point here is also the pragmatic point, yeah, very pragmatic. Can you do you have maybe other things? One or two more things we can add here, or do we agree with all points I put here? Do we have differences by regions? Tashkent, the capital, and the south region. Do we have? Okay, Samarkand, yeah. Between Samarkand and Tashkent, do we have differences? What? Let's talk about one main difference. Tajik lives there. Here, language was written. Yeah. Okay. It's much historical. Good. So history. Yeah. History. Clothes. Okay, much more traditional clothes, yeah. Okay, food, yeah. So you see, so Uras mentioned that 98% of Tajiks are there, yeah. So again, we have subcultures, yeah. Subcultures, differences in the subcultures in Uzbekistan. Yeah, we have other religions, we have other nations living in Uzbekistan in certain regions, and this makes also Uzbekistan, the culture itself, quite different. Yeah? Yes, the Vergana value. This is a very important point. This is very religious oriented. Yeah? The Vergana value. People living there you have much more religious issues than you have in the north. Okay, fine. So the Uzbekistan values we can summarize also more or less as comparing to the other countries. So as I mentioned before, the pragmatic issue, the hospitality, and the loyalty to the older people and to extended family. Yeah? The family plays a very big role in every life, in every culture in the Central Asian countries. Okay, good. Then let's finalize this. European values, as everybody mentioned in the beginning, yeah, pragmatic, also hospital, modern, open-minded, honest, and democracy plays also a very big role, yeah? And friendly, loyal. These are European values. Good. So, what was the aim? What was the target of this questionnaire? Yeah, of these questions and of this discussion? To understand. Okay, we have several countries. And also the countries, the neighbor countries can differ from each other. Yeah? Uzbekistan has another, or also has other cultural values than Kazakhstan. Yeah? The north of Kazakhstan differs from the south. Yeah? So we have Petropavlovsk in the north, and then we have Chimkent. Yeah? I think people from Kazakhstan. Do you agree with me that the Chimkent people have other values? They have other understandings like the Petropavlovsk people in the north. Okay. The north of Kazakhstan, it's more Russian. Yeah, it's more linked to Russia, and the south of Kazakhstan, this is already more, this is the south, yeah. They are more religious, right, more conservative, yeah. And they have another understanding. The group, the community plays a much more role in South Kazakhstan than in the north, yeah. Good. I will stop that I dominate Kazakhstan, but I lived in Kazakhstan most of my time, and that's why I talk a lot about Kazakhstan. But please add also your points you think which are important to understand the difference in the culture. Good. Again. Regarding culture, the last 20-30 minutes we talked about general points of culture. Yeah? We talked about the objective things of a culture we can see, and then also we talked about the things of an iceberg we can not see, we can only understand through a certain time when after we have been together with another culture. And because culture is a quite big box, yeah? And we can talk a lot about cultures, and to understand what really culture is, and to understand what kind of differences we can have, we can also filter culture in several dimensions. And now let's watch a short video about the cultural dimensions, and this video tries also to explain why we have cultural dimensions. So wait a short minute, and then so now we have the video.
It's a big world, full of difference and diversity. How you see others is influenced by your own cultural perspective, and how others see you is influenced by their cultural perspective. What happens when you speak? Do people from other cultures understand you in the way you intended? And what happens with different cultures in the workplace? How rigid or flexible is their approach to rules? Is formal or informal behaviour expected? And how do different cultures approach timekeeping? In today's global business environment, it is essential to learn how to navigate across different cultural landscapes. You need a good set of tools to do this. You need an understanding of how different cultures trade and do business, an insight into how different cultures communicate, and a clear idea of how different cultures manage people. To be a savvy global traveller, you need to be willing to undertake the journey of understanding other cultures.
Okay. So again, when we talk about cultures, so we have a number of cultural dimensions, and the dimensions, the cultural dimensions, they can help us to understand why people have another perception of time, why people have another style or understanding of communication, why people need more or can better work in a group than more in an individual approach. So that's why we filter the culture into several dimensions, and the most important ones we saw in the video, and here I outlined again the most important ones. So we have 4 very important ones. So we can divide the dimensions into communication. Communication means how to communicate people. Are they quite direct or more indirect? Are they coming more to the point when they think what they say, or do they need a little bit more time to communicate? How do we perceive time? Are we punctual, or do we come late? Or do we also in this regard, how do we work in the frame of project management? Yeah? There are cultures which have project management, which have to plan things and then to start, and then we have cultures which start, try, do errors, and then they learn by errors, and then they try again, and finally they also come to a result. Then we have cultures which are oriented on the task, or on the other side, which are oriented on a more relationship. And then we have also cultures, even when we talk about work, and also for you when you study, the power distance. Yeah? What distance we perceive or we have when we talk with our professor, yeah? Or when we talk with our head, with our boss. Yeah? So the German culture, for instance, there we have a quite low distance, power distance, and I remember in Kazakhstan or in Kyrgyzstan, also Uzbekistan, the power distance is quite high. Yeah? The distance to my boss is much higher than we have it in the European countries. And about these dimensions I want to talk about now, and also to share your experience you got in Europe and you will get in Central Asia. So the first one, communication. Yeah? As I mentioned, we have two different types of communication approaches. When you see this picture, what comes in your mind? What do you see first? What do you think about the lady? Is she what kind of okay, very modern, informal style of communication, direct, Western, but quite open, quite flexible. Yeah. So high detail. Yeah. She named him with the surname, the first name, more liberal. Okay. And then the other side, the guy, pleased to meet you, Miss Maxwell. He's more formal, right? Yeah. So here we have two different styles of communication. The one is more formal, and the other is more open, more flexible. And this is very important to understand, because we have two, when we talk about culture and when we talk about communication or culture of communication, we will see that we have two main different styles. Давайте, who is from Uzbekistan? Me. Okay. Are you now in Europe? Nagina, okay. In what country? Sophia. So Sophia, France, okay. Do you Germany? Okay. One here, Thomas Beck. Yeah. Thomas Beck. Can you give me your impression or your experience when you talk with the Germans? What style or what approach the Germans use mostly? Thomas Beck, can you give a short answer? At the beginning, very formal. Okay, good, fine. With Mr. and Mrs. Right, yeah? They want to speak in German. The question is, Ahmadjan, have you got a perception, have you got, what is your experience in the communication? Have you found a difference between your communication in your home country and your country where you are now? France talk formal, yeah, okay, good. And on the other side, can you give me some points? How do people from Turkmenistan communicate? How do people from Uzbekistan communicate? Seniors, yeah. Friendly, yeah, okay. They communicate very friendly. Some more points? Interested, yeah, okay. Polite, yeah. At the beginning form, and then we have fun. Okay, honestly, yeah, good. So what do you think? Can you, when you come to Europe and you ask, let's say in France or in Italy for a way, how to come, and you don't know the right way, and you ask people on the street, can you help me? How do people react? How do people answer on that question? They try to help you. Okay. Sorry, I don't know English. This is a very good point. Yeah? They say, sorry, I don't know English. So this is one, but they try to help. Yes, this is right. Yeah. And the Germans in Germany, has anybody got some experience with the Germans? Okay. But often, have you got also a moment that Germans said, no, I don't know? Spanish can explain and then show the right way. Okay, so there's one very important moment. Yeah? So in Germany or in Europe, yeah? We have communication. The Germans say either they know or they don't know, or either they only speak German. Yeah? Please talk in German. Please talk in German language. And you see that the Germans, they can ask other, please switch to another language. Yeah? Or people in France are very formal. Yeah? So the people in Italy are very formal also, and then come to the point. Means what I want to say that we have a communication, we have cultures which are very direct, communicate and say what they think. Yeah? They think the people or the guy or the lady who asked me the way, she or he shall talk in German. This means that this is also a critic, yeah? Because I remember that when I ask people in Central Asia, also in Kyrgyzstan, nobody asked me to switch to Kyrgyz language. Nobody asked me to switch my style of communication. Everybody was open to help me. Yeah? So cultures who speak or who communicate more in a direct way, they have no problems to criticize somebody, who are more formal, yeah? Who talk even to the point. Yeah? Cultures who come more faster to the point. So they say yes or no, and they mean even say and they mean even yes or no. On the other side, we have cultures who don't like to criticize. Yeah? Cultures who need a little bit more context in the communication. Cultures who come not really fast to the point. Yeah? So these two differences. Yeah? So for instance, the German people, they can quite good criticize. Yeah? In Central Asia, in the countries in the countries where I have been, and also the people I met, nobody criticized the other. Nobody tried to blame the other. Yeah? So everybody was trying to help from the beginning on. And here we have a difference. Yeah? And now let's discuss together your home country and your host country. where you think to put your home country. Let's talk about the Central Asian countries. What do you think? The Central Asian countries, let's say Kazakhstan, yeah, is more indirect. Okay. Let's talk about Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. Also more indirect, yeah. Uzbekistan, what do you think? More indirect, yeah. Good, so Central Asia, yeah, all our countries, we think that it is more indirect, yeah. Indirect, do you agree that the harmony when you communicate with an indirect culture, when you communicate in Uzbekistan, in Kyrgyzstan, in Tajikistan and the other Central Asian countries, that it is very important to have a certain harmony in the communication. Is this right? Okay. Can you criticize people when you are in a group? Is it easy, or how do you perceive critic? Yeah? Is it easy to criticize people in Central Asia? Quite difficult. Right. It depends. Yeah? It depends again on the person, on the personality, also on the situation. But they get offended, right, Sophia? This is a very good point. Very good point to get offended. Yeah? And on the other side, yeah, in Europe, the European countries are more direct communication countries. Yeah? And here you see the difference. Yeah? Direct means in Europe we can criticize, for instance, much more direct. Yeah? Why people in Europe criticize more? Because they need to come to a better result. Huh? It's not the point that we need a personal relationship. We need a result. That's why we criticize here much more in Europe than maybe in Uzbekistan or in other Central Asian countries. Yeah? That's the difference. Yeah? And this is important for you who goes from Europe to Central Asia, that when you talk, when you start a communication, yeah, be indirect. Yeah? Talk more about personality. Indirect also means that when you have some things to criticize or some things to improve, yeah, don't come firstly to the critic. Yeah? Firstly, say some positive words. You have to be polite. Then you can criticize a little bit, and then then you shall be again very polite. It's like a burger concept, yeah, a sandwich concept. Yeah, means be polite, criticize, and then again you can be polite. So I can show you what I mean. Means, I'm sorry for my drawing, I'm not the best. My daughter is much better than me. So now we have here the burger. Yeah, I mean here, firstly, come to some personal points, try to be friendly, be polite, and say some positive words, yeah. And then here you can shortly criticize, but then you have to finalize this again with some positive words. So it means to criticize people in Central Asia, they can be quite fast offended. Yeah? Coming to European countries, yeah, here we have the other way. talking too much about personal things and talking too much about the positive things, here we can also have problems, because the European culture, it's quite direct, and they used to come much faster to the point. Yeah. So communication all the time, having in mind that be always polite and be very sensitive, to other people when you want to communicate something critical. Everybody is open to help you, and don't criticize people in the group. It's better when you go out, and then yes, right, Thomas Beck. Yeah, you should say positive things about that person, and then you can easily criticize. Wonderful, very good. This is the right approach. Wonderful, very good. And here we have, when we talk about communication, and we don't have this in mind, that we have another communication culture in Central Asia, then there can be a critical incident, which can be a problem for successful communication in the future. Wonderful, wonderful, Thomas Beck. This is a very good point you mentioned. Further, let's go to relationship building. And relationship building in different cultures is very important. We have cultures which are focused on the business, on a business relation, but we have also cultures which are focused on relations, even the relationship, and then the business. And in order to building trust, it's very important to understand that the Central Asian countries, comparing to the European countries, have quite a different approach to building trust. In Europe, we have a quite strong task-oriented culture. What does it mean? In order to get trust, in order to get trust with other people, you need to show your competence. You need to show that you understood the task. You need to show your expertise. You need to show facts and figures to give your knowledge to others, and then other people or the other part will start to trust, and then the other side will come to a personal relationship. Means here, very important in Europe is when you do business, or when you talk also with your professor, or when you talk with other people. One very good example. We invite friends, new friends, and when new friends coming home, and the first question is, what have you studied? What are you working for? Comparing to inviting friends in Central Asian countries. I remember in Bishkek, in the questions when we met first have been totally other ones than we got here in Germany. So on the other side, we have the relationship-oriented culture, like I already mentioned the previous, and I think you agree with me that all other Central Asian countries are also very relationship-oriented cultures. What does it mean? When you start a communication, when you start cooperation with others, when you start to study also, it's very important that in Central Asia that you first see the person, not the task. Look more to the person, try to establish a relationship to the person, and then you come to the task. The relationship to the person, to understand who is the person I'm talking with, is very, very crucial and very important to get success, because to understand the person, to build a relationship to my partner, this gives you the bridge to get the trust you need in order to be successful. This is important. Who's going to Central Asia? You will see that when you start to study and also start to work there, that very often you are invited. People are very curious about your culture. People are open to invite you for home, for lunch, for dinner, and this is because people in Central Asia need this, because they need to know you. They need certain harmony to understand that you are the right partner, and then the people there, they will give you also facts and figures and also their knowledge, and then you also have a very good basis for a good cooperation. So these two differences means we have on the one side the task-oriented cultures who are focused on the task, and then we have the trust building, the relationship-oriented cultures. And for instance, I remember when my first time in Kazakhstan, the 8th of March. This was a so important day, because on the 7th of March, every man in the morning is looking and buys flowers for all women, and you as a boss, or me as a head of a department, I had to know, or I had really to know this, that the 7th of March, after lunch, this is a time where you have to be together with your team, and you have to congratulate all women you know. You have to go to all female partners you know, and this gives such a good moment where to come together, where to build trust, because holidays, or certain celebrations, like also birthdays, birthdays in a group, when you study at university and you know people who have birthday, you will see that the birthday is used also as a celebration day. People come together, they will buy lots of food, they will buy sweet cakes, they will sit together and just for talking. And the relationship is a very, very important factor in order to be successful in Central Asia. At the at the end of the presentation, I will give you an overview of the main important public holidays in Central Asia, and every public holiday is very important in order to get a relationship also to other people. Because when you study, or at every stage wherever you are, people use the holidays in order to be together, first with the professional area, and then also to be together with the family. And here again, the family plays again a very big role. So when you are invited by somebody to come for dinner to home, don't deny this. Go, visit, and don't say no, I cannot come. Because people inviting you, this is very personally, and they love to show also personal things, and they are very, very proud of family, of their life, and people are very open, are very happy to delete this with others. So, and when you also want to build a relationship with others, I can give you some hints. When you like, for instance, hunting, fishing, or you like to play football, or you like to play bowling or billiard, so talk about these things, show that you are interested in, and even bowling. I remember bowling, to play bowling and to play billiard. This is a very good time to come together and to know each other. And people in Central Asia love those games, because again, there's the possibility to be together and to share personal things together. So here, again, important for you to know that coming to Central Asia is a very, very trust-building oriented culture, and you have to be open. You share your own personalities with your new partners, with your new friends in Central Asia, and then you are quite happy also there. Good. So shortly regarding the cultures where you are from, let's have one short or two cultures. Let's say Turkmenistan and Kyrgyzstan. What do you think? Are they relationship oriented, or do we also have there lots of task oriented? Kazakh people, Bushkashi in Tajikistan. What does it mean? Game, yeah, okay, good. So relationship oriented, yeah. Europeans, let's say, let's talk about France, Italy, so Finland, for instance. Do you have an idea? Are they more task oriented or are they more relationship oriented? Relationship oriented, yeah, great. Good. So Central Asia, right, ex-communist countries are more relationship oriented, and most of the EU countries are more task oriented. Fine, let's come to another point, and here we have also an overview of all countries, or of lots of countries, and we see that on the right side here that the countries we are talking about, they are more relationship oriented, and countries like Switzerland, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands are very, very strong oriented on the task. And it will be very difficult, for instance, in the Netherlands, to talk about personal things on a professional meeting. No, Slovenia is more on the right side. I would put here more here on the right side. Or maybe more in the middle, yeah. In the middle and more to the right side. Okay, let's go further. Perception of time and project management. As I mentioned, when I start to talk about dimensions, cultural dimensions, every culture has also its certain approach how to deal with time and how to deal with projects. What do you think? How punctual are French people? Not so. How punctual are German? Very punctual. Very good. Okay. How punctual are people from Tajikistan? Давайте. Not very. Okay. It depends, yeah. Right. Germans are not strict punctual. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It depends on the personality. Very good. It depends on the person. Right. Good. Fine. So when talking about time and also perception of time and also project management, we can divide cultures into single-focused, time-oriented cultures and multi-focused, time-oriented cultures. What do you think? Kazakhstan. Where is Kazakhstan? Is this a multi-focused, time-oriented culture, or is this more a single-focused oriented culture? That means when we talk about multi-focus, that people can do things, several things at once, yeah? Yes, okay, regarding time, is a long-term multi-focus, yeah, right, very good, yeah. Why? Because you see people there, people do things, several things at one time. Yeah? People will take lots of tasks, will take lots of things to do at one time and try also to solve them. On the other side, a single focus-oriented culture is more focused on one thing at one time, and when this culture finalized one task, then this culture is open to take a new task and to solve this. This is also a thing of how do I feel comfortable. People in Kazakhstan, like you mentioned, Askar, they are quite multi-focused, and they feel also comfortable. The Germans, for instance, they are not really comfortable if they have to do parallel things at one time. Also here, what is very important when we talk about these two columns, the multi-focused oriented cultures, the personal relations are very important. And on the other side, when we talk about the single-focused oriented cultures, we have the deadlines. The personal relationship is not so important, like to come to an end, to come to a deadline, or to finalize all tasks within a certain deadline, and to be ready at the deadline. In multi-focused oriented cultures, it can happen then that you will have a deadline, and then your boss or anybody else is asking for the result, and the person who should finalize this task, he comments that, oh, I need some more time. So this is not possible in cultures like Germany or the whole Western European countries to have a delay in a project and not to communicate this in before. Then you will get a lot of problem with your partners. So important here is that people can do several things at once, and cultures on the other side who can only do one thing at one time. So this graph shows also how do we manage the time in projects. Here, for instance, we have a difference between the blue ones. The blue ones are the single-oriented cultures. Means here we have the start of a project or of a task, and people who are focused on one task, they start already with one task and do it recently. They try to start and fulfill this task in a certain time and come to an end. On the other side, the multi-focused oriented cultures, they can take a lot of work, take a lot of tasks, and then they need, or they also will wait a little bit more than other cultures it have, and they can, I know people that I gave them a task, and then I waited and I saw that they not started working on the task. It needed a certain time, and even when the time came later and the time came to the moment where to fulfill, where to finalize the task, then they start and send the result to me. So in Russian we say, the Russians say also, it's like an avral. So to do things under a certain pressure and to finalize things even when the time is quite short. When the pressure on time is quite strong, and then they have or when they do the task and then they finalize the task in the same way as the single-focused oriented cultures do. So important here is also to know that in the multi-focus oriented cultures, very important that you have also to control people coming from this culture, to control and to ask all the time, or in a certain step of time, tell me a little bit more about your results, about these sub-results, because sometimes you can give tasks to a multi-focus oriented culture, and people living in that culture, they can lost a little bit. They cannot, or they don't really understand how to deal with this task, and it can take a lot of time, and then they come here to that moment, and even in that moment they finally solve the task. So for you, coming from Europe, and when working together with people from also Central Asia, it's better, or firstly it's very important to understand, it takes, or they have another approach, doing tasks, solving projects. They can do things in parallel. They can ask also for lots of tasks to do, and you also have to control, to give a sign of control in order to do things in the right time. But the problems, or the people, when you control people, it's also not a problem. It's also not, they are not offended on this. Controlling is also a thing of, oh, my boss or my partner, she or he is interested in me, and I can believe in him. So the control is also a sign of trust, of harmony. And for people coming from Europe to Central Asia, have this in mind, that it can happen that you see people doing a lot of things, and it's not the approach you normally know from your own or from your study in Europe. Do you agree with me? Okay, Askar, fine. See, yes, da. Let's go further. Okay, so I understood that people from Central Asia, Nazgul, Askar, Alicia, Mukhabat, you agree that the culture, the Central Asian culture, countries in Central Asia, that's the Kyrgyz people, that's the Tajik, that's the Uzbek, we can put here in a parallel time perception. Means parallel time perception means that they are this is a multi-focused oriented culture. Okay, good. And the Western Europeans, do you agree that we can put it here? That the Western Europeans are quite more linear, are quite more strict on one task, and do firstly one task and then coming to another. Okay, good, fine. It depends on the region of the European Union, fine. What do you think, what country or what region do you think is more multi-focused, more parallel time percepted? South, very good. South, do you mean south of Germany or south of Europe? Like Italy, okay, EU, so Italy, Spain, What about Slovenia? What can you, anybody have some? Okay, good. Then let's look here. I prepared also an overview. Germany and Netherlands, the Western Europeans, more here on the left, and then here on the right side, our countries, Spain, you mentioned, yes, Turkey, I remember Turkey. Turkey is also a country or culture which are quite strong, multi-focus oriented. Unfortunately, I cannot show you this now, but I remember a friend of mine in Turkey, he used the mobile, he used to drink coffee, and then he also did something on the floor, did something with shoes, so 3 things at once, and I was really irritated, how pragmatic and how confused he is, but finally he did 3 things at one time, and he came also to an end. But this is typical, yeah. This was a typical sign for me. Oh, this is also the Turkish culture. Good. So Slovenia, I would also put here more in the middle, yeah, because Slovenia is yeah, in between. Moitza, what do you think? Moitza, are you there? Hello? No, Moitza. Okay, let's go further. But I think she also will agree with us. Good. Further. Hierarchy. Hierarchy is also very important because I mentioned we have two different leadership's approach. What do you think? The left side, the hierarchy and consensus approach. Is this more an European approach or is this more a Central Asian approach? Asia, okay. Central Asia. So the blue one, I think this is Central Asia, yeah? Okay. Good. And the right side? The right side, the top down. What do we think? What? Just okay. West, good. Interesting. Fine. I can tell you that the difference is that the left side, this is EU. Yeah, this is a style which is more or less used here in Europe. And the right side, this is a style which is used or which we can find in countries like in Central Asia. Why? Right, Thomas Beck, you're right. Why? Because we have cultures where we have a quite high distance to the hierarchy. Yeah? Means hierarchy. The hierarchy between the employees and the boss, yeah, is quite high and strong. The boss is the person, or the management person is that person who knows everything. Yeah? He has the knowledge, or she has the knowledge, and then he is also the power. Yeah? And to work and to also to study, it can be to communicate in the communication with professors in Central Asian universities. But I can tell you a lot from my work that very often we have here the general manager, the employees are below, and the employees did everything what the general manager told them. There was no dialogue. Yeah? On the left side, yeah, the blue one, this hierarchy and consensus style, here we have also a certain style of hierarchy, but we have here a dialogue. Yeah? Means a dialogue between employees, yeah, and certain hierarchy groups and with the higher management level. In that case, in the top-down approach, it's not really used that the lower level has a dialogue or an direct communication with the higher level. Yeah? I remember that when I was working as a general manager, one minute. When I was working as a general manager in Moscow, and the Russians are also very top-down oriented, I had employees. They did everything what I said. Yeah? It was not possible to ask them for constructive critique, yeah? And to have a dialogue. It was quite difficult to ask for critics. People did everything what I said. On the other side, here in Germany, yeah, we have here quite free dialogue, and we can have a quite free dialogue with our higher hierarchy. Yeah? And it's very important for you that people coming from EU to Central Asia, that you can find and see also quite strong and long leadership or hierarchy distance between the lower people and the management. So, Askar, you said that the professor, in that case, your picture should be more horizontal, but not vertical. I think in Europe, so I remember I had a quite open and transparent and direct communication with my professor. Yeah? It was, I was here, but my professor was here, but there was no problem to come in and have a communication with him. People coming from Russia, they mentioned me that it was quite difficult to get a free door with their professors at the Lomonosov University. If you not agree, let's share your impressions or your experience. Okay, good. So let's go further. This picture, what I want to show here is that again, having the top-down culture and the more construct or the more hierarchy and consensus oriented culture. In the hierarchy and consensus oriented culture, we have more delegations, yeah? And this is also very important for you to understand that when you come from a Central Asian country to Europe, that your boss, your manager, or your partner who has a certain responsibility, he gives you, or he can or she can delegate you a task. You do the task, and then you have to deliver the task, the result. And every time you have some problems or you don't know what to do, you have to go to your professor or to your boss or to your head of department and to ask for information. On the other side, in cultures with a top-down approach, it's more that you are more controlled, by your manager, by your head of department, because it's not very used that people getting a task that there is a dialogue between both. There's more control. That means that the boss has the obligation to ask the employees, tell me more about your results of the task. Tell me more about your search for information. Yeah? So here we have every time certain control. And both cultures, or cultures who have a duty to perform, they feel comfortable when they have a certain task and to ask even to get more information and then to deliver the final result. And then we have cultures with the obligation to task. They are more oriented that one person who is responsible for, she or he always asks for results. And while asking for results, the people who have to do the task, they feel quite comfortable because they are controlled. They feel quite comfortable, oh, there is somebody who is interested in me, and this gives me the comfort to solve the task. And people coming from Europe to Central Asia, you will find more an approach where people feel more comfortable when they are controlled. Good. As I mentioned, Central Asian, please add your comments on this picture. Do you agree with me when we put Central Asian countries in a culture with a greater power distance? Yeah? That means we have people here who like to be more controlled, who are not really open to get the task, to solve tasks more individually, and then to deliver the result to the task giver. Okay, so finally I understood that you agree with that, Central Asia is more a culture with a greater power distance, and you will meet also people in the university who like to show that they are responsible, that they are a head of a department, of a certain unit, and here you have to be open and ready that there are lots of hierarchies, or more stronger hierarchies than we know this from our European universities. Okay, good. Here again an overview of countries. So people or cultures where you want to go to Central Asia, it's more here on the right side. Cultures in Western Europe we can more find here. Interesting that Germany is more in between. Yes, this is right, because on the one hand we have very democratic and transparent style of hierarchy, but on the other side we can also find very often that we have heads of departments who like to show also a certain distance of power. Good. As we are a little bit in time stress, I shall go a little bit more further. Let's talk about, or do you have any questions regarding the cultural issues, regarding the cultural dimensions? Do you agree, or do you have some points to add you want to do? Okay, Askar? What do you want to say something, Askar? Are they applicable? What do you mean with applicable? Yes, of course, you can applicate this because the dimensions you can. This is the dimensions I showed you. This is in order to give you an understanding. What are the main cultural issues, or the main issues for critical incidents? Yeah, you can have when you go in another culture. And very important, and the most important ones for the Central Asians, for instance, are the trust building and the communications, and the communication dimension. Yeah, and you can applicate this in order, or through you have to change a little bit more your style of communication. Yeah? When you go to Central Asia, yeah, be more polite, or not be formal. Be more friendly in the beginning, and then you can later come to a point. Yeah? So you can applicate. You can use the things I mentioned, and you can have this in mind and transfer this also in another culture. Good. Let's go further. When you go abroad, yeah, like me, I remember when I went to Kazakhstan, yeah, because this was my first time abroad. I arrived there. I remember that first time before I started to fly to Kazakhstan, I was very happy and I was very curious and very excited about my trip to Kazakhstan, and everything I felt very well. And then I arrived. Everything was new. Everything was very exciting. This is like a honeymoon stage. And after a while, I understood, oh, I'm very far away from home. And then it can happen that when you come from Europe to Central Asia, or in another way, when you go from Central Asia to Europe, then you will come in a stage, in a more stressed stage. Means you can fall down, you can feel quite not comfortable, not happy, you get nervous, you think about home, you want to go home. Yeah? But this is here. It is very important, yeah, that that you are proactive, yeah? That you have to look for things what you like, yeah? In order to come again back, in order to come above, in order to feel more positive, yeah? In order to get a more stable situation, in order to feel comfortable in the new country or in the new culture where you are. And then you live and you have your life and you feel quite well, quite comfortable. And then you know that okay, it's time to go back, and you have turn above, and you like it all that you go back, yeah? And then you come back to your home country, and it can happen that you can fall again a little bit down because you spent a lot of time abroad, yeah? And then you see, oh, things are not really so like I used to do during the last half a year or 2 years, and you can again fall into a small hole. But here it's the same, be proactive, look for positive things, and then the situation will be again more stable. And this the symptoms of culture shock I started to mention. Yeah, you feel sad, you feel lonely, everything is quite bad, yeah, and finally you're looking for your family, you're looking to the calendar and look when you could go home. Yeah, these are the first symptoms. It can be, but it's not a must. Yeah, and in order to how to overcome the culture shock. Finally, one hint I want to give you: be easy on yourself. Yeah, look to things what you like. What I did, because I like to have, I like to buy food, I like to go to a supermarket. I looked for supermarkets, for supermarkets which have also food which I like, and then I went all the day to those supermarkets and I bought a lot of food, yeah, and I was quite happy to find, as I mentioned in the beginning, cheese, what I liked, also bread, which I like, and also varenia, yeah, marmalade, which I like. Yeah. And those things help me to reduce the stress and finally to come again back to normal life and to have a more stable life in that country where I am. Yeah. So what I want to tell you is that look for things you like, go for new relationships. Look for people you want to know. Maybe you also find people you know already, or maybe you find also some expats coming from your home country. So this can help you in the beginning in order to overcome the stress, yeah? And then you will feel quite stable, and then things are going quite good, and you will feel quite happy. Shopping and traveling. Yes, right, Askar. Sleeping, jogging, watch movies. Yes, this can also help. Even movies, yeah, movies from your home language, from your home country. So this can help you. So in order to reverse, finally, be active. Be active. Don't fall into in a deep hole. Be active. Look for things what you like, and then the success you can see. Okay, so of course when you go into another culture, when you go from Europe to Central Asia, use also your role as an ambassador. I was very happy when I went to Central Asia and I met people from Turkmenistan, from Kyrgyzstan, from Kazakhstan, from Tajikistan to tell things from Germany. No? Firstly, they were interested in my country. Yeah? They were interested in that culture. They were talking a lot because they have also relatives, lots of relatives in Germany. Yeah? And then you can share your culture, and it's good to share your culture with people in Central Asia. And because you are coming from Europe, yeah, because Europe is also a place for Central Asian people which is interesting. Yeah? People from Central Asia know that Europe is also modern, yeah? And people like to travel to Europe. Yes, Germany. I know. I got the question in Kazakhstan. Откуда? Я говорил из Германии. Германия. У меня брат, а у меня подруга. И у меня там. Да, вот, и потом они говорили, ой, мы живем в очень маленьком деревне, да, and I not know this village, and then a very funny discussion started, and a very funny communication started with even the taxi drivers. I remember the taxi drivers have been very interested in my country, and even use your ambassador role because you come from another culture. And people there, they are very interested in your own culture. And finally, you can also educate. You can educate what does it mean be punctual. Why you are punctual? Because being punctual, this is also a thing of respect. This is not because I like to be punctual and I'm so formal. Because I have a respect to my colleagues, to my friends. This is one value and one behavior which you can also educate to people in Central Asia. And I can tell you that everybody there is very open to get new information and to get new educational issues from Europe. Okay, good. Finally, I want to give you some practical hints even for those who go to Central Asia, but before, let's watch a small video, and here I want to give you a short overview about Central Asia. A friend of mine did this video, and he went to all countries, and let's have a look to this video. So, as I understood, lots of you who chatted here, everybody knows these pictures. Is anybody from Europe who's going from Europe to Central Asia? Is anybody there? Nobody? No European going to Central Asia? Tatiana? Tatiana, what country are you from? Kazakhstan? Okay. Who came from there as exchange? No one, no one. Okay, good. Good. So, as everybody is from Central Asia, so the next slides, I think most of you know all this information, but let's go quickly through all these slides. I prepared for all countries, for all 5 Central Asian countries, some slides, some information about traveling, yeah. And the structure is like this one, means I put information about the territory. Kazakhstan, yeah, Kazakhstan is the biggest country in Central Asia. It has more than 2.7 square kilometers, yeah, and I remember that putting Germany in Kazakhstan, it's like 10 times more. When I'm wrong, please give me better information. But Germany fills quite a lot into Kazakhstan. Yeah. So when talking about the CIS, 5 friends, yeah, right, almost 9 times. So CIS, yeah, within all CIS countries, it's a second one. Do you know which country is the biggest one by square meters? Russia, right, yeah. Population, Kazakhstan has more than 70 million. Do you think 70 million, is this a lot of people, or is this quite low number? No, yeah, right. So Kazakhstan has a very low number of population, and the capital is Astana, and it changed. The capital changed from Almaty to Astana in '97, and the biggest cities are in Kazakhstan: Almaty, Karaganda, and Usk-Kamenigosk. The president, or the political structure, is a president's republic, and the president is Mr. Nursultan Nazarbayev. And the national public holiday, one of the important public holidays, is the Independence Day. That means the Independence Day from the former Soviet Union, and this is celebrated on the 16th of December. So Kazakhstan is a very big country. It has 2 time zones, and to travel from Almaty to the west, to travel from here to that region, you need by train approximately 2 days. It was in 2002, 2005, I remember. Maybe it changed, but it takes a lot of time by train to go from east to west. Here I prepared some interesting information. When you come to Kazakhstan, so means for all Europeans you need a passport and you need also a visa. What is interesting and important to know, as I mentioned in the beginning, when you arrive, lots of taxi drivers waiting for you, and be patient and don't take everybody who's offering you a taxi service. But this is not a problem to take a taxi. Taxi is also a trustful car you can use. But if there is a possibility, try to use a driver who can pick you up. Registration is a very important issue. You have to be registered within 5 days in Kazakhstan. In some cases, you can get a registration by airport authorities, but this registration is good only for 90 days. When searching for private flats, there are lots of agents, and there are lots of also offers via internet, and one important internet platform I remember, this is krisha.kz. And of course, if you have some relatives or some friends there who can offer you some flats or contacts who give flats, use this too. Language is, as you know, the official language is Kazakh, but very often you can also hear Russian language. In the urban centers like Almaty, Astana, and other big cities, you can also use the English language. And in regional cities like, I remember Kent, and also smaller cities, there's more the Kazakh language, a popular language, but the Russian language mostly of people can understand. Regarding food, in Kazakhstan I got no problems, because you can find everywhere good food. You have a lot of grocery infrastructure, or very good grocery infrastructure, and lots of supermarkets, and use the local markets, local food markets you can find in every city wherever you are in Kazakhstan. The medical infrastructure is more or less developed. It depends on the region. In Almaty and Astana you can find quite well equipped clinics. You have to know that the very well equipped clinics are quite expensive, and it's always good to have additional insurance for those clinics, because then things will get cheaper. Currency issues, you have there the tenge, the Kazakh tenge. You can get money at every ATM. The infrastructure is quite well developed, and you can also use credit cards in most of the cities in Kazakhstan. And if you wanna bring money in, you can do this up to $3,000, and the amount above 3,000 you have to go to the customs. And as I mentioned, transport, taxi is a common transport. You can use taxi using your hand and asking for a new taxi, or you can call via operator. And very popular is also the marshrutka taxi. This is a small bus where you can have a seat for up to 8 or 10 people. And the marshrutka taxi is also a very cheap one and quite flexible transportation facility, and lots of people in Kazakhstan like to use this for transport. Kyrgyzstan, it's quite a small country. It's not so big as Kazakhstan. Sometimes the Europeans, or Kyrgyzstan is also called, it's like the Central Asian Switzerland, because of the very different nature. We have very high mountains and very wild mountains also, and we have also very big steppe, very wide steppe, and yeah, because of its size, it's not very big, and population, it has only approximately 5 million, and it has not so big cities like his neighbor Kazakhstan, but the most important ones are Osh, Jalalabad, Karakol, and Tokmak. The president is Atambayev, Almazbek Atambayev, and national public holiday is also the Independence Day, and it is celebrated on the 31st of August every year. So travel information, it's more or less also like in Kazakhstan. You need passport, you need a visa. Interesting for the Germans, Austrians, and the Swiss people, they have to get, or they need a visa only after 60 days. So it means for the first 60 days you can get free entrance for Kyrgyzstan. Again, taxi drivers, you can expect a lot at the airport, and then you have to also register your passport at a certain office. It is called OVIR. What is interesting for Kyrgyzstan, it's good to cover the security issues. It's better to walk not alone after 11 at night, because it can be a little bit not secure, but mostly me, I had no problems, but even for ladies, for females, it's better to be together with some others. Food, it's also in Bishkek and in Osh, it's quite well. You have a lot of markets, and in the other cities there are lots of local supermarket chains, local supermarket stores, and as I mentioned, you can find the local food at every local food market. The Kyrgyz medical infrastructure is not so good developed like, for instance, in Kazakhstan. You can find in Bishkek some good medical centers, as I outlined here, but it's good to have a small private pharmacy with you. The ATM structure is also developed. You can use credit cards, but mostly in Bishkek, and it's good to have mostly cash with you. If you need some local currency, take a little bit more cash with you, and then you can change cash money at every exchange desk in all cities you can find. Turkmenistan, it's also like Kyrgyzstan, it's not a big country. It also has a population of approximately 5 million, and the capital Ashgabat has more or less 1 million. It depends on the counting, but more or less 1 million. And Turkmenistan, as you mentioned in the beginning, it's more a closed country. It's not so easy, or it's not so free like Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. But you also can enter with a visa. The registration, or in order to get a visa, it's a little bit more formal things you have to cover than in Kazakhstan and in Kyrgyzstan. But it's possible. And interesting here is, if you want to stay more than 3 months, you need a negative speed test, because this is very important in order to get a visa. The language is Turkmenish and Russian. Mostly you can find also the Russian language. In urban centers like Ashgabat, English. In the regions, it can be more difficult. It can be more difficult to talk in English. But when you know Russian, you can also use Russian, and sometimes you can also use the Turkish language. And medical infrastructure, again, as in Kyrgyzstan, it's better to have a private pharmacy with you for the standard treats you can get, and if there's something serious, it's better to go to Ashgabat, to the hospital in Ashgabat, and then maybe to go to another hospital in your home country. Currency issues, it's not so easy like in Kazakhstan. You have to bring also cash with you. Credit card infrastructure is not so good developed, and credit cards you only can use in hotels and in the capital, in Ashgabat. In other regions, it's quite difficult to pay with credit cards, and therefore it's better to bring cash with you. Regarding transport, the same. Taxi is quite often used, and use also the marshrutka taxi. Marshrutka taxi is quite popular and also quite, it's not so expensive. Tajikistan also like his neighbor Turkmenistan, and it's also not, it's not so big. It has more population than Kyrgyzstan, and Turkmenistan, a little bit more than 8 million, and the capital is Dushanbe, and the national public holiday is also the Independence Day, and this is normal in Central Asia, that the Independence Day is also one important public holiday where people before this holiday meet together and celebrate this public holiday and come together in order to share again personal things. And finally, Tajikistan. Tajikistan, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's more, Tajikistan is more also oriented on tradition, and you need more in order to speak, in order to get information. It's better to know Russian language and maybe also the Tajik language. English you can use in the capital, but in the region it's more difficult to communicate with English because there it is used more the Russian and the Tajik language. The other issues are quite the same as in the other Central Asian countries. The food, you can find good food on all local markets. I remember there's also a green market as in Almaty, a very big market for food and other things, and this is also a good possibility or a good chance to know and to buy also local prepared food. Uzbekistan is also one of the bigger countries, and Uzbekistan is very popular because it has a quite ancient history, yeah? And lots of tourists are traveling there, and that's why also Uzbekistan is open for other cultures. The language is quite good developed. The English language, yeah, you can use there, and the country itself is quite open and quite good prepared for Western countries. Good. Here we have and safe country, right? It's also a safe country. Thomas Beck, you are right. Here we have an overview of all important holidays, yeah? And one important holiday in Central Asia, in all Central Asia, yeah? We have these holidays, and one more important holiday is Nowruz, yeah? Nowruz is it's like where you celebrate the Persian New Year, and it's like also the beginning of the spring, yeah? And lots of people use this holiday, and I remember it's like the 8th March. The 8th March, it's good to celebrate with women, but the 21st or the days before the 21st, it's quite a nice feeling because it's getting warmer. People walking more in the street, people coming more together, and you can have more shashlik, and you can have more fun with the local people, and it's quite good also to build bridges in order to get trust and in order to find friends there. Of course, Qurban Bayram differs from years by years, but I put September 23rd for this year. Yeah, so in 2015 you will celebrate in Central Asia the Kurban Bayram on the 23rd of September. So these are the main public holidays. But from country to country, you will find also other public holidays which differs from country to country. And every country, or your friends and also people so on, will give you the information about the other public holidays. The most important ones are New Year's Eve, the International Women's Day, and the Maurice holiday, and also people love to celebrate the Kurban Bayram. Also, holidays or moments for celebrations are when people marry, when people have a graduation of university. I remember when people have a marriage, lots of people going through the cities, lots of people celebrate. Also your colleagues, they congratulate you, they prepare food, they prepare lots of delicious things, yeah? And for those days, yeah, it's good to know that people come together and share very personal things. And a Kazakh and a marriage in Central Asia. For instance, when I married my wife, we had 10 guests, and I remember I was at a Kazakh event and I met 250. Yeah, so that's again a difference, yeah, between our cultures. Yeah. In Central Asia, you will meet a lot of people, and in Germany, for instance, there can be quite a small number of friends with you. So these holidays are very important and very well celebrated in all Central Asian countries. A list of literature. I want to ask you, you as from Central Asia, maybe do you have some more interesting hints for literature? Because I know a lot of Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, and maybe you can give some more hints for the other countries. Kyrgyzstan, very important, Aitmatov. Yeah? Aitmatov is very nice, very beautiful to read, because Aitmatov is a guy who very personal shared the culture and also the life of the Kyrgyzstan people. So from Tajikistan, Umar Khayyam, Godaki, yeah. I need. Okay, fine. We can put this here too. Okay, fine. So far my presentation, and so far a short overview of intercultural awareness and also cultural awareness of Central Asian countries, also awareness of European countries. Yeah? And my aim today was to give, to sensibilize you, to give an understanding that when we go in another culture, we will not find our own culture. And when we are in another culture, we will meet people who have another style of communication, who need a little bit more trust, or who build trust through more relation, who need or who feel more comfortable when they know the partner. Yeah, and of course, it's very important that you have those things in your mind, and then you can also put your antennas. Yeah, you know that okay, you meet a guy from Western Europe. here you know that they are quite more direct in the communication, and then you meet people maybe from Italy, you know that these are more relationship-oriented culture, and here you need more to share your personal things than the task-oriented cultures. So important for you when you're traveling all the time, put on your antennas, and then you understand also better the person who you are talking with. Good. That was my presentation.